You're live.
We're live?
Now you
We're
are.
live. Hey, welcome. After a false start here, folks. Welcome back live, Showcase Live, coming to you from the 2021 DeLand Sport Aviation Showcase. And this is Showcase Live. As I said, I'm Dave Shallbetter. I co-team lead with my friend Mike Daniels.
Huh.
And we are wrought with technical difficulties this afternoon.
Well, you know, our main
gimbal
phone left.
decided it got tired. Okay. In the background here, there's this beautiful scale B-51, misbehaving, appropriate name and an appropriate airplane, because fighter pilots love to smoke cigars. And we are here with misbehaving herself. No, not that was a joke. This is Holly Joy. That was not a joke. Her name is Holly Joy. Christmas Eve, baby. Holly Joy.
Hello.
And you are the owner of Crown Cigars.
I am,
Yay.
yes.
Tell me about Crown Cigars.
So I have been smoking for about 10 years, and I've always loved cigars, and I was going through kind of a career transition after COVID, and I knew my job was ending in May, and I'd been racking my brain, okay, what do I do next? What do I do next? And then I kept thinking, well, if you do what you love, eventually you'll make money at it. And I love cigars, and I'm smoking one day, and I said, this is it. This is the next step. So I reached out to a few people and found an amazing cigar manufacturer that I absolutely love working with. And we've been working on coming up with some really incredible cigars. And I started out with 4 cigars. And the Crown Cigars thing.
How can you make money with an inventory of 4 cigars?
Oh, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
We're being silly. She
Yes.
means 4 different style cigars. I'm sorry.
No,
Please.
you're fine. You're fine. So the Crown Cigars idea, I was, again, trying to come up with a name. I've done everything myself. Everything. The labels, the design, the whole kit and caboodle. And I had been referred to as the cigar queen on more than one occasion. I'm also a cigar influencer. It's at Cigar.Beauty, in case anyone wants to know.
That was at Cigar.Beauty. That's a website you can go to see.
It's on Instagram,
It's on Instagram.
and I'm on Facebook as well.
Okay.
Yes. And so I'd been referred to that, and I said, you know, that's kind of a neat idea. And I jokingly said, well, I need to get a crown if you're going to call me that. And then I went, wait, Crown Cigars. I like this.
There you go.
And the reason behind that was so that I could name each one of my cigars. So I have the King, the Queen, the Prince, and the Knight.
Oh.
Yes, so I'm pretty excited about this.
And now tell me about the King, the Queen, the Prince, and the Knight. Those are your 4, that's your 4 lines?
Correct, the 4
Okay.
lines that I have.
What is the King?
So each one of them has a specific blend that we've come up with. So the King is the Oscuro, and it has just an amazing, really dark wrapper. If you know anything about cigars, you know that Oscuro has really specific notes. It has a really nice sweetness, natural sweetness to it because it's been aged longer, it's been fermented longer, and it's really dark. So it's pulled a lot of the sugars out of the leaves from that. So it's just an amazing cigar. The Queen was kind of my baby because I've been madly in love with Cameroon wrappers for the longest time, and I absolutely love them. And so they were able to do a Cameroon cigar for me. And we actually get the Cameroon wrappers from Africa, which is kind of a big deal. So we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
And then the Prince, I had to have a Connecticut. I started smoking Connecticut's because I had that ridiculous idea that the darker cigars were going to be strong, and I wouldn't want to smoke them, and I wouldn't like them. It took some time to learn and figure out that I was wrong, and I don't mind admitting that. But I did want to have a Connecticut. But the difference with my Connecticut versus others, and as an influencer, one of the things that I've always been so keen on is educating all of the people that I talk to about cigars. So I'm constantly reading, constantly learning, and trying to figure out more. So when I looked for a Connecticut, I said, I want a medium body Connecticut. And they're like, yeah, we can do that for you. I'm like, all right, let's do this. I wanted a Connecticut that had tons of flavor. And often when you get a Connecticut, it's very smooth, easy to smoke. There's not a lot of transitions between each of the thirds. And it's usually just a really nice smoke. But this, I wanted you to go, wait a minute, this tastes like graham crackers, and I taste marshmallow, and I taste it. And you can actually, from transition from each third, you can actually taste a bunch of different flavors. And I was like, yes, this is the Connecticut I was looking for. So, and then the final cigar is the Knight, and that is San Andres wrapper, which is a Mexican wrapper. And one of the things that I love about the San Andres wrapper is, again, the Maduro pulls the sugars out of the leaves. It's the darker wrapper, but this has a very subtle cherry, natural cherry note. None of my cigars are infused. These are all natural flavors. fermentation process.
These are, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful cigars. Get them on here. We got the cigars here. Now, let's pretend for a minute that I don't know a stinking thing about cigars, because I don't. so I'm not joking when I say I really don't know. And I picked up on quite a bit of what you were saying, but you said the flavor between the thirds.
Yes. So
enlighten me.
Yes, every cigar is separated into, actually let me pull the king out, because this is one of the bigger sticks that I have here. So this is the king, and what we do in the cigar world is we separate it into thirds. So you have your first third, your second third, and your final third.
Okay.
Usually with your first third, you're getting some of those initial flavors, the initial notes. You're going to taste a lot of the wrapper. And I have a few of my cigars that have the closed foot wrapper, which is when you have a little bit of extra wrapper on the outside.
All right.
And that really allows you to get the flavor specifically of the wrapper. But when you move into the middle part, or the second third, you're really going to pull a lot of the filler out. So each one of mine, every time I sell my cigars, I did something really specific. So I have my name, my logo, I have the QR code, my website, but I put the construction of every cigar as well as tasting notes. And it took a lot of cigars to pull all those tasting notes out.
Oh, gee, what a shame.
It was
You had
terrible.
to smoke all those cigars yourself.
It was terrible, yeah. But I had so much fun doing this, and the goal there was to be able to tell people, here's what you're going to taste in the first third, here's what you're going to taste in the second, and the final. And generally when you get to the final third, there's usually a pretty big transition between the second and the final. And what I've noticed with my cigars is it literally builds up. So it starts with this really subtle, really beautiful flavors. You might get a little bit of pepper, a little bit of woodsy notes, but then you're going to move into something a little more sweeter in the middle, because you're smoking a lot more of that filler. And then in the final is usually where you're going to get a little more punch. So you're going to have a really more of a full body cigar experience.
Because I'm sure that doesn't the final third of the cigar work kind of like a filter on a cigarette, whereas you're drawing smoke through it, they're deposited on the tobacco that's not burned yet, or is it just kind of flow through and not
It just basically flows through. And what you're doing is you're burning, and as the ash gets fuller. And by the way, these have a very long ash, phenomenal construction, and great smoke output for someone that loves smoke output like I do. But as you're smoking, you're heating it up, but you're only heating it up by sections. And then, of course, when you get to the final third, that's where you're going to get the most heat, and that's where you're going to get the most flavor because of that heat.
And now, the thirds and the different flavors, again, I really literally know nothing about cigars. So
Totally
when you
fine.
talk about the thirds and the changes in flavor, are there different tobaccos in the thirds, or is it just the way the tobacco tastes as it heats and smokes?
It's how it tastes and heats and smokes. So the way that a cigar is made is we start with the filler, and generally it'll be one or two. Most of my fillers are going to be Dominican and Nicaraguan, and they have a couple of different ways. They'll either bunch them, or they'll roll them, they'll do an accordion style. There's all these ways that you can construct a cigar. And then the next layer is going to be the binder, and then the final layer is the outside, and that's what everybody sees, and that's the wrapper. And each one of those adds flavor to a full cigar, so that when it all melds together, it's just beautiful. It's like a perfect 7-course dinner. It's the easiest way to describe it.
Now I'm seeing you've got your bags here, your royal family and your cigars, and then over here you have another, and these are these?
These are the fun. So these are just some little, they're actually long-filled cigarillos. This is just more for fun. I'm not even going to be selling these on my website as of right now, but I will be coming out with a flavored cigar in about 6 to 9 months. It takes some time to get the blend correct, and I'm already working with my cigar manufacturer to come up with a flavored cigar, because I've had so many people ask me for them. So I brought these, and I've actually sold quite a few. I was surprised at how many people love the flavored cigars. It's a lot of fun.
Now these are more like they are, like you call them, cigarillos. They're very small, they're very thin, and you have cherry, coffee, bourbon, rum, and vanilla honey. Now being a coffee drinker, I'm going to grab one of the coffee ones out of here. So this is, considerably, I mean, when you compare them, obviously, that's why it's a cigarillo versus a cigar, is the size. But now, are these
So this
wrapped
is going to take you about an hour and a half to smoke, and this is probably going to take you no more than about 15 minutes, if that.
Okay.
So it's a pretty fast, quick, easy smoke. In fact, a lot of people that I've spoken with love the cigarillos because they can smoke it on their lunch break. So they take it to work, go outside, smoke on the lunch break, and it just gives you that little extra moment of calm and peace to continue on your day.
Now, are these the infused cigars you
Yes,
smoke over?
these are infused.
So these are flavor infused. These are I'm assuming these are just in the food industry they refer to them as private label. It's something that's mass produced and they put your name on it. Or are these made specifically?
No,
for you?
those are the private label.
They're private label.
Yep,
So
exactly.
it's a Crown Cigar brand, a Crown Cigar label of a.
Exactly.
But your cigars,
Those are mine.
those are yours. These are made for you. And you said they're made in
Dominican and Nicaragua are the
Dominican
factories.
and Nicaragua.
Yes.
Now, being from Florida and being so close to Cuba, I hear about Cuban cigars, and I've been through Ybor City with the old cigar factory and stuff there. It's been a long. I need to go back. I haven't been too long. But the rolling and it's an art in the rolling of the cigars. Did you actually go to the factories to see them, or did you? Coronavirus, everybody's video conferencing. So you video conferencing? Or?
No, so what I did is I worked directly with the cigar owner. So I sat down and talked with him, we smoked cigars together, we figured out what I wanted, what flavors I wanted to pull out of the cigars. And I laughed because the easiest way to describe my cigars is that it's like opening grandma's cupboard and sticking your nose in and breathing in. I wanted something with like those really rich, like the bready notes or the woodsy notes and the cinnamon, the cloves, and these are all completely natural flavors that you're pulling out of the leaves.
And these are actually, this isn't like you're not like chopping up a clove and sprinkling it in there for the clove. This is the tobacco leaf itself has those different flavor notes.
As well as where it's grown, where the leaf is grown, and the minerals in the soil. The minerals affect the tobacco so much. I can't even tell you. I've been reading so much about the effects of the minerals, and it's incredible. It's amazing. Just like wine, actually.
Or like just about anything in this soil. Vegetables. I mean, I've noted that buying fresh vegetables from a roadside vendor in Florida, they have so much more flavor than the ones you buy in the supermarket.
Yes.
And I live in Florida and I love Florida and don't get me wrong at all, but when we travel, we'll stop and pick up from roadside vendors. And these were grown in West Virginia or these were grown in North Carolina, and you can actually tell, and it's because of the soil. So the same thing
As
happens
well as the
with
water.
We have
spectacular water.
And altitude, and I mean, so much influences. So you could take a tobacco plant from West Virginia and ship it to Nicaragua and grow it down in Nicaragua, and it will taste completely different.
Yes.
The tobacco is different.
In fact,
because
that's
of
one of the things that a lot of people forget is that Cuban seed is no longer in Cuba. Cuban seed is all over Central South America, the islands, everywhere. Cuban seed, there's more Cuban seed grown in Nicaragua than I believe any other country in the world. I read that a few months back in an article.
But like we were just talking about, it's Cuban seed grown in Cuba is going to taste different than Cuban seed grown in Nicaragua.
Absolutely.
And I would imagine that if you're, and again, not knowing tobacco farming or growing, but Nicaragua is a very change in elevation country. I wonder if the elevations have different.
Again, it depends. So a lot of tobacco growers, they will have farms all throughout the country. They'll have them at the base of the mountain. They'll have them in the valleys. They'll have them as high as possible and as low as possible. And again, it affects how it's grown. And of course, the exposure to the sun, because that's a huge effect on each leaf, is how much sun exposure it gets.
Never even took any of that into account. I'm traveling through America and seeing the tobacco farms and the tobacco and stuff. It's like, okay, so that's where cigarettes come from, or that's where cigars come from. I never realized that. Now I'm looking at a price tag here, and I'm seeing you're getting 13 for a single. Any one of them are 13. Mm-hmm. The 4-pack sampler here is 48.
Yes.
10 count box of any of them is 110.
Mm-hmm.
And your other options are you can create your own bundle per se. And you're getting $2 for your flavored cigarillos.
Mm-hmm.
So we're out here again. We're Showcase Live. We're at the Bland Sporting Occasion Showcase at the beautiful Bland Airport. People are going to come out. We got tomorrow. We still have tomorrow. You can still come out tomorrow and come by and see Holly Joy and buy some of her cigars. But if they don't see you here, maybe they're watching on Facebook somewhere else and they want to check out your cigars. How can they get a hold of you outside of it?
The easiest way is definitely through the website, and it's just www.crowncigars.us.
Crowncigars.us. All right. And numbers or phone number you want to release?
Nope, I'm doing everything online as of right now.
Website.
Yes.
Okay. And you said you're on Facebook.
Yes, on Facebook under my account, which is Cigar.Beauty. And then on Instagram, I have Crown Cigars. It's just at Crown Cigars. And then again, Instagram for myself, which you can message me on either, and that's at Cigar.Beauty.
Cigar.Beauty. Okay. Well, Holly Joy, thank you so much. It was such a great fun. I learned a lot. I mean, I really learned a lot right here, right now. I didn't know anything about cigars, but now I'm armed with enough information to be dangerous. Holly Joy, Crown Cigars, thank you so much. And we made a new friend here, folks. Holly Joy, Crown Cigars, crowncigars.us.
Got it.
And there we go. For Showcase Live, the Land Sport Aviation Showcase. For my cameraman, Mike Daniels. For our friend Alfonso, who had to go play dad. Roy Brewer over here, the Brewski. And, of course, I have been a horrible friend. And, of course, the wonderful, the talented, the lovely Elizabeth Daniels for everything you're doing from behind the scenes. Thank you, everybody. I'm not sure if we're doing another one today, but we will definitely be back. Showcase is still going on tomorrow. Come on out. You gotta check it out. You gotta see this place. We've got Holly Joy with cigars. We've got electric bikes. We've got electric airplanes. We are in site number 61 over here. I think that's 61. Am I looking at it upside down? Roy's trying to tell me it's 19, but I think it's 61.
It didn't work.
Well, you just look for this beautiful girl wearing all black with a really cool hat on.
Thank you.
Being a hat guy, I usually wear a Panama Jack. We'll live with my Panama Jack. But Holly Joy, thank you so much. Everybody, we will see you soon. Like our page, like our videos, laugh at me, Dave Shallbetter. Hey, here we go. See ya.